Morning, everybody. Welcome to our first call of the new year. Hope everybody's doing well and has had a good new year or start to the new year. Um, just a few housekeeping items before we get started. If you need access to record, shoot me a note in the chat window and I can give that to you. And as always, if you have questions, use the raise hand tool and we'll get to as many as we can. And we'll get started in about 3 minutes. Hey, I've got 9:50 on my clock, so and I see Micah is in the room, so we'll get started here. Good morning, everybody. Again, welcome. Looking forward to talking some ACC basketball today. Get started first with one of our newest coaches, Micah Shrewsbury from Notre Dame. Micah, good morning. I see you're on the call, hopefully. Maybe not. Well, we'll wait a second for Micah to join us here. There he is. Good morning, Micah. Good to see you.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks. I hope you are. We'll get right into the questions first. First one up for the call today is Tom Noy from South Bend. Go ahead, Tom.
Mikey, you talked the other day about how this thing you believe this thing is going to turn. How do you keep your guys confident that it is going to turn for them and moving in the right direction?
I think it's just a daily process. All right. Like one, they have to feel the belief from our staff as well. Right. Mm-hmm. Like we believe it. Like I'm not hoping. Like we're putting in work every single day to make sure that we're putting ourselves in position to win. And if I wasn't putting in the work and our staff wasn't putting in the work, then, the players will see it, right? They can sense phony. They can sense fake. And, I'm not trying to portray that. If I didn't feel like, we were doing what we need to do, then I wouldn't be, letting them know that I feel this way. So I think just a sense of belief and continuing to do the right things, and then you just have to follow it up with a little bit of success.
You've had small steps this season, but how big of a step would a road win be for this team?
I think for any team, a road win's important. Like whether you're Duke, you're North Carolina, you're Clemson, like Miami, whoever it is, like winning's hard. Winning on the road is hard. And that, like, everything that we do is all trying to build that belief. And doing it on the road is much more difficult task. But like, you have to be able to do it. You have to try and do it. And that, like, those wins galvanize you, right? Like North Carolina winning at Clemson galvanizes them and can set them, on pace for a great season if you allow that to happen. So winning on the road's really important to your team, your program, and really starting some momentum.
Thanks, Micah.
We'll go next to Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Coach. If I could take you back to the Hanover days, was there a point early in your career that you thought you'd want to be in coaching? Was it something you got into, I don't know, later on? What was your, when did coaching kind of get on your radar?
I knew my playing days were going to be pretty short, so 4 years and out. So coaching was always at the top of my mind because I wanted to stay around the game. I wanted to be around the game, and that allows you to do it, right? I'm a competitor, and that's never going away. So this allows me to still, like, fuel those competitive juices. So Hanover is actually, there is no coaching major, but there's probably 10 to 15 guys that I played with at Hanover that are now all coaching at all different levels, whether it's high school, Division III, Division I, NAI. So there's a lot of us that kind of had that same feel, and we continue to push each other to this day.
And as you think about guys, you are coaching, guys you have coached, are there guys that you kind of just look at and think, okay, that guy's a future coach? Is it always the point guard, or do they come in different positions? How do you look at that?
It's a lot of different positions, but you see, like, a lot of those guys are point guards, right? Like, they're just guys that you have a sense for, right? Two of the guys that are, Ronald Norwood was a great leader and a great point guard for us at Butler. He was a guy that was like, he's going to be a great coach, right? He knew the game. He could think the game even at a young age, but had a fantastic personality and was going to be able to mesh well and recruit well at the college level. So some of those guys you see, early on that, like, yeah, they're going to be fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
David Teal, go ahead.
Micah, with new coaching regimes, new rosters, sometimes you see those teams struggle defensively. But looking at the metrics, you guys are top 60 in defensive efficiency. To what do you attribute that?
It was a heavy emphasis for us to start the season since we got here. We spent a lot of time on it in the summer and in this fall. I think it gives you a chance to win right away, right? Like, it may not be pretty, but you at least give yourself a chance when your shots aren't falling, right? If we'd have just went all in on offense and now we're not making shots, then you're probably just getting your doors blown off every night. We're giving ourselves a chance, and our guys have really bought in and believed in what we're doing and how we're preparing, and it's helping us. It's helping us. It's given us an identity. It's given us something to lean on, in good and bad moments. So I'm proud of where we are, right now, and I still think we can get a little bit better.
You mentioned guys buying in. You were, to say the least, a little animated after the Citadel game. How did they respond? And are you pleased with how they responded?
Yeah, I've said this afterwards. The one thing about that is, or two things about that. One, I would never say anything in the media that I wouldn't say to them in the locker room first. Right. So like it wasn't a surprise what I said. Like they had heard it. And two, you have to love them first. You have to love them, right? If I just go in and blast them and we don't have a relationship, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out, and they're not going to respond in the right way. In this short amount of time, we have built a really good relationship where I can give them truths, but they know that I have their back more than anybody, and I believe in them more than anybody. So we've really responded. Our team is played really hard, and I'm proud of what we've done so far. Right, we got to turn some of these close losses to wins, but the effort that we're putting in and how together we're playing, it's encouraging.
Thank you.
Anything else for Micah? All right, Micah, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, we'll have Earl Grant on from Boston College here momentarily. Hey, there he is. Earl, good morning. Oops. That's the second.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Earl Grant coming off a win at Georgia Tech from Boston College. If you have a question for Earl, go ahead and use the hand tool. If you need access to record, send me a note in the chat window. First question will come from Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Earl.
Good morning.
Going back to the GC days, were you a guy right away that coaches kind of pegged as, this guy could be a future coach? Was that something you were interested in? Was it something as you went through college that kind of piqued your interest? What was the origin there?
I mean, I never really knew what I wanted to do. I mean, I think God got a plan for everybody, got a calling on everybody's life. I mean, I thought I was going to go play some pro ball, maybe in Europe, something like that. But my sophomore year at Spartanburg Methodist, at the junior college, I was, some of those guys who didn't make the team. I remember we formed an intramural team that my sophomore year. And so after practice, we have a good practice. I would run over to the sweat box. We had a little gym on the side. We call it sweat box. Get my guys in there. We practice a little bit. And we played a game every week. And so I remember getting a lot of excitement from that. Then when I got to Georgia College, I really never thought I would coach college. I thought maybe high school, get my degree, and then go coach high school. But my college coach, Terry Sellers, he just said, hey, look, I want you to come back and be a graduate assistant. So I did that for a couple of years. Next thing you know, I was at the Citadel and then Winthrop. So it happened organic. It wasn't something that I was searching for, but I'm fortunate that, it's a career path that I took because, it's very fulfilling to be able to help these young men, every day.
When you think about guys you've coached or are coaching now or have coached in the past, are there characteristics that make you say, hey, that guy could be on that path, that guy could be a future coach? And how much overlap is there with the point guard position? Is that just a natural, a good point guard might be a good coach?
I mean, I think a lot of times it's mostly you say the point guards, those are the guys, they got to be vocal, they got to communicate, they got to like pressure, they got to love having the ball in their hand and making decisions. But I mean, I think other, position guys can be good coaches, but I do think that, that floor general, if you've been a floor general most of your life, there's a certain thought process you got about making the people around you better. A good point guard take a average big man and get excited about, I'm gonna help him be an all-star player. I'm gonna help him be because you feel like you can make an impact. You got the ball, you make the decisions. And so, but I do see players every now and again where I say, man, I think that guy gonna be a great coach. And it jumps out at you. It's not like every player on the team you feel that way about. It's usually one or two guys.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll go next to Sarab Gokarn. And I always butcher your name, so I apologize. But go ahead.
Got it. That's fine. Hey, Coach. Pretty much every key metric this season, this team's been your best offensive team so far. How much of that change do you attribute to personnel differences with adding guys like Claudel versus schematic differences?
I mean, I think it's a lot of things. We went on a foreign tour. We started studying different teams, NBA teams in the summer to try to figure out, how to play with better pace. We thought we had a big guy who can pass, so we studied some different people. My assistant, Anthony Goins, obviously he, studied a couple teams. He had some ideas, me and him discuss over the summer. We experiment with some stuff in Europe. And we've been playing with a little bit better pace, a little bit better pace, a little bit more tempo. So we've been scoring more points. Obviously, our defense haven't been at the level that we wanted to be, but we're gonna work on that every day, and we believe we'll get better with that. So if we can get to the point where we continue to stay efficient offensively, tighten up some screws on defense, and then we can kind of come to our full maturity.
David Teal, go ahead.
Earl, the one metric that really jumps off the page, though, is 3-point shooting. I think you were 299th last year, and now you're in the top 40. Did you anticipate at least some progress there?
You never know how that number is going to jump. I mean, I did know that, Donald Hand has sat out, and I thought he was a really good shooter. Mason Matson played injured last year. I thought he was a pretty good shooter. So I said with two healthy guys, really good wing shooters, that's going to help us. And then when we went looking to recruit in the spring, we wanted to address, replace Mekhi Langford. And we wanted another guard that was experienced. But we said, hey, one of the criteria is he has to have made at least 53s at his previous place. And so, Claudell had made 70, MJ Harrison. So you add a healthy Mason Matson, a healthy Donald Hand, and Claudell Harris. That's 3 guys who can really shoot the ball. And that's part of the reason our numbers went up. Quentin Post is still doing what he did. I think Devin McLaughlin, he always could shoot. He shot a good percentage last year. Didn't shoot a lot of shots, but he's improved well as well.
Was Saturday, now points wise it was, but overall was Saturday Devin's best performance?
Yeah, it was his best performance. Homecoming, back in the state of Georgia, had a lot of fans there, a lot of friends, family. It was his best performance, but I didn't even know he had that kind of performance until after the game, because he's a quiet player. He doesn't force a lot of stuff. Just plays the game the right way, keeps the ball moving, plays with energy, rebounds, deflections, running the floor. And I just didn't know he had that type of game until, at the end of the game, I looked at the stat sheet and it jumped out at me.
Now, just one more quick one. What's it tell you about your team to be able, when you're on the road, to come from 16 down to win?
I mean, I hope it just means that, we got some good character. I hope it means that, through practice, we building some endurance and some toughness. And I hope it means that we get into a point where we're pursuing to get everybody to be rowing in the same direction, that everybody, kind of trying to get to the same destination. We all doing it together. And so I hope that's what it means.
Got time for one more quick question from back to Sarab. Go ahead.
Coach, as you head into the thick of ACC play, what's something you're looking to build or improve upon?
I just want our team to get better. Every day I want us to stay together. I want us to continue to have fun and let the journey be the reward. I want us to be playing the best possible basketball we can play in March. I want us to believe and execute the plan. Understand the only thing we can control is our preparation and our attitude. The results going to fall where they may. I want us to be able to win and handle it with grace, and lose and get back up and keep working. So, it's a really good league. It's a challenge every night, so we're going to experience a lot of different emotions, but just hoping that we would stay together, and then by March that we can be playing the best possible basketball that we can play.
Earl, thank you as always. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, next up we will have Brad Brunell from Clemson. I believe he is on.
I'm here.
There he is. Good morning, Brad. Good to see you.
Good morning.
If you have a question for Brad, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. For those just joining us, if you need access to record, send me a note in the chat window and we can do that. Mike Barber, you're up first. Go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Good to see you.
Morning.
I'm curious, when you coach guys and over the years or this year's team, is there something, a characteristic that makes you say, hey, that guy could one day be a good coach?
That's a good question. Certainly I think just feel is part of it. And then maybe communication would be the next, those two things. A guy that has a feel and probably a love for the game is part of that. Very rarely do you have great feel without having knowledge and understanding and love for basketball. But then you also got to be a good communicator. So I think those two things would be my two.
And you might have a different angle on this. Is it only point guards that can become good coaches?
No, I don't think so at all. Absolutely not. Those guys certainly probably have the ball in their hands, are decision makers, and so they have grown up doing it more. But no, there's no reason that has to be the case. I don't think Phil Jackson, I don't think, was a point guard.
Thank you, Coach.
David Teal, go ahead.
Brad, along those lines, did Mark Byington strike you as a coach type when he was at Wilmington?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he did. Bright guy, knew the game. I don't remember him talking about coaching, although a lot of guys who are good players, they think and they're concentrating on, hey, I want to play and play for as long as I can. But certainly Mark has both those characteristics. He was a very sharp guy. Great communicator and got along with all different kinds of guys on the team and very well respected. So yeah, not surprised at all that Mark is not only a coach, but that he's had the kind of success that he's had.
And then more along the lines with your current team, PJ and Joe, everyone knows about, but how key has Ian been to your club so far this season?
Yeah, he's a really good, tough, competitive guy who's a natural fit with Joe and PJ and Chase. Those are kind of our three scoring guys that have the ball in their hands the most. And then he's a complimentary guy who does a lot of the tough things that good teams have to win. And he's got tremendous competitive spirit. Very unassuming guy. I actually wish he'd be a little bit more demonstrative and talkative at times. But he just fills the role that this team needs extremely well. And I think his basketball skill level has really grown in his career. He can do some things now that he just couldn't do when he was a younger player.
Mark Berman, go ahead.
Good morning. Obviously a rough week for you this past week with the losses there. What are you going to be addressing in practice? Can I try to shore some things up heading into the game in Blacksburg on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, two different types of games. Obviously, the Miami game, we were extremely poor defensively in the second half. It turned into a pickup game, and that's probably not the best way for us to play all the time. And we just, got behind and tried to quick shoot our way out of it. So that's shot selection and discipline and just, being a little smarter. And obviously that wasn't the problem on Saturday. Saturday was shot making. Our defense was very, very good. North Carolina's was very good. But we go 1 for 18 from three. And I think in our shot quality, 11 or 12 of them we had rated as a 3, which we either give it a 3, 2, or 1. And so we had 11 shots, 12 shots that we feel are, really good offensive shots. And we only made 1. And so that makes it really hard. You lose 21 points to a team at the 3-point line. It's a challenge.
Obviously, last week notwithstanding, this has been a great season for you so far. Was there a certain point in the non-conference or in the preseason that you were like, oh, this could be a special bunch?
I mean, I liked this team from the beginning. I liked our habits in the fall. I like the way our pieces fit. You never know how it's all going to work. Certainly the win at Alabama, I think, was a huge win in terms of, top 20, top 10, whatever team they are, in a road environment, hostile environment, handling the crowd, playing with poise, getting good performances from several guys. I think that gave us a lot of confidence. And so that would probably be the one win that initially kind of tells your team, hey, we got a chance if we can play the right way to have a good season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go next to Mike Waters. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Brad. When you bring in a guy like Joe Girard in the offseason, you're adding a guy who can shoot the basketball.
Yep.
I was wondering in what other ways has he impacted your team? And maybe something you didn't expect.
Not really anything we didn't expect, just because we've competed against Joe for so long, knew his game. He played both with the ball in his hands as a point guard, kind of with Buddy. But then he'd also played without it last year, more with Judah. He's a very good passer. He has very good basketball smarts. I mean, he's got good savvy. He's, if you're open, he can find you. And he does a really good job of finding our inside guys. Those things are all things that we anticipated, hoped. And he's been exactly what we thought from that standpoint, been really, really good. He's a sharp guy. You never know. You kind of feel like, hey, he's probably a really smart player, but he is, and I think, one of the things is just, encouraging him to be vocal, with our team. I think, Chase is a little quieter. And PJ, I think it's hard sometimes for your center to be the guy who's leading in games. PJ does a great job in practice, before, after games, all that. But within a game, I think getting Joe to continue to be a leader and be vocal and be comfortable to do that is something we're working on. And he's done a nice job so far, but love to keep working with that.
Just a quick follow-up, is part of that being vocal thing kind of maybe hard for some players to do, given when they're new to a program?
Yeah, I think there's a respect factor. We've been pretty good last year, and Joe knows it, and he knows that he's got some pretty good players on this team. And because he's a great kid, he doesn't want to come in and make it about him. He wants to be about the team. He's trying to assimilate to the team, and so he's very cautious about overstepping, right? And I think our guys have really done a good job of welcoming him with open arms and letting him know, hey, we want you to be who you are, and all those kinds of things. But at the same time, he's very respectful of PJ and Chase and guys that have been in the program 4 years, 3 years. And so he doesn't want to overstep. And, the longer he's been here, obviously the more trust he earns from everybody. And he's done a great job. We love having him. He's been a terrific young man to coach.
Thanks.
We'll wrap up with John Blau. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Brad, just wanted to get your thoughts on Virginia Tech. You talked about, obviously, it's a tough place to play down there. I guess, why are they a tough program? Why is that a tough place to play?
They have a great environment. It's loud in there. Students do a good job, and they have good teams. Mike's done a nice job with that program. They have good players. Padula's back healthy, and he and Couture on the perimeter are two very talented guards that are both, make big time tough shots and both handle the ball well. And Lynn Kidd, who transferred from us to there, is really developed into a nice player and having a terrific season. So Mike does a great job. They do a great job as a staff with a lot of good offense, both inside and out. I just think that, in that environment, it's a tough place to go win, because they take care of the ball, they shoot well, and then they just play really hard. So very, very similar ways. I think the teams look identical in certain situations. We're similar in how we do a lot of the things that, in terms of how we play. So we know it'll be a tough matchup for us.
Brad, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Next up, we will bring on John Shire from Duke. I believe I saw him here.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Technology, If you have a question for John Shire, go ahead, use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, send me a note in the chat window and I can get that for you. So we'll start off first with George Michalowski. Go ahead, George.
John, thanks for joining us today. So you and Jeff Capel obviously spent several years sharing the bench at Duke together. Obviously both played at Duke too. What was it like sharing the bench with Jeff, and what memories stick out to you about coaching alongside Jeff?
Well, I have a lot of memories coaching with Jeff. One, he's just a good friend before a coach. That's the first thing. And I was lucky at a time getting into this profession. I was fortunate just to see a lot of, one, Steve Wojciechowski, Jeff Capel. You've been close to Chris Collins for a long time, obviously Coach K. Just to see there's different ways to do things. And Jeff and I, through the years, talk about a lot of different stuff. I think back to some of the memories. I think back to, going to a home visit with Jason Tatum. It was me, Jeff, and Coach K. And that was probably the most memorable home visit we've ever had. First one to see a kid commit on the visit, which is pretty special. And then a lot of wins we were part of. We were a part of a lot of great teams together here. My first year as an assistant coach was the 2015 national championship team, and that was a pretty special run. So a lot of moments that year. But he's done a great job at Pitt. You wish you didn't have to play each other. That's part of it. It's how it goes. And, just thankful for those years at Duke together. Hopefully he said it made him better. I know it made me better for sure.
We'll go to Steve Weissman. Go ahead, Steve.
Good morning, John. I want to follow up from Saturday about the shooting and the way Notre Dame defended you. You complimented them on the way they defended you. And looking at the film, how much of that was did you guys get good shots and miss them, or was it more they put you in situations where you were going to miss more shots?
Probably a combination of both. I mean, you have to credit them because I thought they played with a physicality and a competitiveness that probably put our guys in a position to take some shots that we didn't necessarily want to take. Although you look back on the film and some of those shots that Jared got, I'm taking any day of the week. Tyrese flipped and finished like he normally does. And so I think a lot of that's just understanding conference play teams are going to scout you more. They're going to scout your actions. It's going to be more physical. There's always resistance in your way. And so for us, we have to do a better job playing through that resistance and also just make some shots, relax and make some shots. And we've done that. And hopefully we do that tomorrow night, of course. But to answer your question, Steve, for me, I felt there's a combination of both.
We'll go next to Connor O'Neill. Go ahead, Connor.
John, I know Jeremy's been a steadying hand really for 2 or 3 years, but what have you seen from him, particularly over the last 6 to 7 games where he's really been shooting the ball well, efficiently, limiting the turnovers, everything that goes into being a senior guard?
Well, Connor, for me, I think it's the fact of how consistent he's been. He's done those things in the past, but it may not have been with you said the best word, steady. And he's been so steady, and we've relied on him for so much. Obviously scoring, the way he's shared the ball in addition to taking care of it. And then he's defended the best perimeter player, a lot of the time. And so the job, and besides all that, besides the playing, the way he's talked, the way he's led in moments that aren't going as well. He's been terrific, and he's got to keep it going. But I've been really proud of just his attitude and mindset throughout the whole season.
Was there anything to follow up? Was there anything that clicked there in November to get him along those lines, or was it just kind of him settling into the vibe of the season type thing?
Well, for him, he was ready to go from the start of the year. He's been our most consistent player. I don't think there's any question. But I think the Arkansas and Georgia Tech games were 2 important games because he learned that it's not just his play, it's also the way he carries himself. It's how he talks. It's how he can impact others more than just scoring the ball or passing it or defending. And that's what I've seen him. That's where I've seen him just take a big jump in the middle of the season.
David Teal, go ahead.
John, back-to-back career highs for Mark. Did he get down on himself at all in the games prior to that? And if so, how did you as a coach handle that?
Well, David, I mean, if any of our guys, when they're not playing as well, they're highly competitive and demand a lot from themselves. And so Mark was disappointed at different moments because he knew he could play better. But the thing that can happen is a lot of times, especially nowadays, where a kid can make excuses or point the finger, it's something that's out of his control. And he's handled everything with looking in the mirror of what's in his control and what he can do. And, it's probably the most that I've worked on the floor with a guy. Mark and I have a routine that we've been doing before practice, and Coach Dildy, Coach Avery have really been working with him hard and just simplifying it for him and making sure that he understands his impact on the game is way more than just scoring. And it's amazing how that works. His best rebounding game happens to be his best scoring game. And that's not a coincidence. And he's thrown himself into winning, and the scoring's come with it. And Mark's a huge connector for us, and he does so much on the floor. But the thing that he does the best is just win. And that's the thing I'm most proud of, how he's responded to not playing as well as he would like, or I would like, and then backing it up with hard work.
As many other things as are on a head coach's plate, how cool is it for you to get back to the roots of on the floor teaching that you just mentioned with Mark?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because it's something you can lose very quickly, you know, and that's as big of a passion that I have, and just being out there and working with our guys, being out on the floor. I hope I do this a long time. You know, I'd like to think I can do this at least 30s and 40s where I can get out there on the court. And that's what it's all about. And so you can, when you're a head coach, you can worry about all the other things running a program. But the most important thing is your guys and the practice time and the time you spend with them. And I've really enjoyed doing that with Mark and also doing it with the rest of our guys.
Thank you.
Jerry DePaula, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, John. I was just wondering, what's the biggest improvement your team has made during the current 6-game winning streak?
Playing together, just learning how to play with one another, playing to our strengths, and then really just think we've gotten tougher. You know, we've made some plays like I look back to early in the season or last season for this core group. I'm not sure we win a game like we won at Notre Dame, you know, or playing at Baylor, you get down 6 in the second half. Like that's where I see a ton of growth from our group, where it's not going to be perfect by any means, but the toughness, the ability to figure it out and find a way to win has been something that we've been developing. We have to continue to develop that, of course, but I see a more togetherness where we really understand, okay, here's how Flip, you know, here's how we need to support him. Here's how Jeremy, you know, plays, and here's how I need to support him. And some of those things are happening, which is obviously key to putting a team together.
If I may, what's the biggest difference between Pitt of 24 and Pitt of 23?
Yeah, well, look, both teams are really good, and they've been, I don't think their record reflects, and they have a good record still, but I don't think their record reflects how good they are. And they have they have just as much, if not more, firepower this year versus last year. I think the thing they had last year was amazing experience, where this year, of course, they have Henson and Federico and some guys coming back that have good experience, but it's not as much. And that's where for these guys, their talent, though, is just as good, if not better. And so offensively, they can really hurt you from all 5 positions. Defensively, they've been as solid as anybody in our league, and their athleticism is better this year as well. I mean, they're the best shot blocking team that we played probably so far this season. And that's something that's a little bit different than last year's team.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
John, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you all. Take care.
All right, we'll move along. Bring on Leonard Hamilton next from Florida State. Find him here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Leonard. Good to see you. If you have a question for Leonard, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, send me a note in the chat window and I can give that to you. Leonard, your first question will come from Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Thank you. As you look at this Wake Forest team, what kind of impact does Efton Reed have for them, and what kind of unique challenges does he maybe present?
Well, he's a verbal kind of guy who really helps the team by talking and communicating on that back line. He's a very knowledgeable basketball guy, and he anchors them by just talking aggressively. He hasn't made a whole lot of threes, but he's more than capable of hitting the jump shot. He's a big, strong guy who anchors their inside, and he challenges shots, and just the altering shots when you drive is interesting. Even part of their offensive system, they'll stand him in the corner and dare you to help off of him when they're driving, and they got a little point guard that creates so well, and so you have to make a strategic decision is how you going to deal with a guy that big and strong and smart. He's a good passer, good decision maker, and plus he anchors a lot of things. Even if he's not scoring a lot of points, he makes a major contribution.
And you mentioned him, in that rim protecting role. when you face a team that has that kind of presence at the rim, does it change kind of your approach in terms of maybe how deep into the paint you actually want to get?
Well, not really. I mean, in the ACC, you've always had people who alter shots. I mean, that's part of your game plan when you're playing in the league. You just got to be able to make good decisions once you get into the paint. And sometimes it's a kick out, and sometimes the angle is good for you to go in and maybe even try to draw a foul. But you just got to make good decisions. And most of the time, when you get into the lane, it's probably 3 different decisions you can make. Do you stop it and do a floater? Do you pull up and hit a bank shot? Do you attack him, or do you kick on the strong side, or do you kick it all the side? So you just got, or do you have a pull up, and stop at below the ACC? So I mean, most people in the ACC have somebody who's protecting the rim, and you have to prepare for it.
Thank you.
Connor O'Neill, go ahead.
Leonard, what were you most encouraged by with 2 wins last week, and what kind of step do you feel like your team took?
Well, we're finally getting some semblance of a rotation. I think the last 2 games we've had, close to 40 points off the bench, which we have not been getting. With Jalen Gainey, he's probably about 80% now. He had a major impact on the last 2 games. He's getting healthier, getting Cam Cohen back from the toe fracture and getting him back in, giving us a little quality depth in our post position, and then getting Primo Spears into the lineup and getting on the floor with his quickness and speed. I see that we are getting better now that we a little deeper with major guys who we intended to be major factors in our rotation. So we probably got a little bit more work to go, but just having a full complement of your players is extremely encouraging.
We'll go next to David Teal.
Leonard, when we talked to you at the preseason function in Charlotte, you were very high on Jameer Watkins, and now he leads you in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals. Has he been everything you hoped?
No doubt about that. But when you transfer out of the portal and you've had a certain level of success with the school that you're transferring from, now you're successful in their system. Just giving him time to adjust to a whole new system, and then seem like every week he's adjusting to a new player. so he is allowing him, some opportunities, but he has to continue to keep adjusted. He's made impacts on everything that we're doing, offensively and defensively. He's a high IQ guy, so we really are impressed with the contribution he's been able to make, especially when we've had so many players not available.
And you mentioned earlier getting Primo Spears eligible. What beyond you mentioned his speed and quickness, but how does he make you better?
Well, in the first place, he's one of those guys who I say he has that wiggle, where he can get into the lane and shoot pull-ups, but that gives him also the opportunity to get into the lane to find shooters. We've had people just lock up on Darren Green, and our inability, to attack that side that's open because of people not wanting to leave him. Primo is really good at that. Plus, he's always looking to pass the ball, and so he also would have helped us in the 2 games we lost against Carolina and Georgia. Just having a guy who when the ball's in his hands, your offense is safe. But we're still the team that are evolving. We're not anywhere close to being as close as I think we can be. I just hope that we can continue to keep winning while we are kind of getting healthy and getting our playing unit back together.
Essex Thayer, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned Efton Reed already, but in terms of Tuesday night's game against Wake Forest, what kind of challenges do you think the Deacons offense presents in that game?
Well, they have been very successful against us the last couple of years, because a lot of it's because their player and coach does a great job, Coach Forbes. They got a very quick, confident point guard who has the ability to score himself, but he also has the ability to create for other people. Regardless if whatever they're running, if they are not running anything particular other than giving him the ball and giving him a ball screen, he has the ability to score. He has the ability to throw the lobs, and he's high. He has a high IQ. He knows how to run the system. Along with, they'll put, let's say, even they have 3 perimeter players that are all capable of knocking down jump shots, which stretches the defense and gives provides a lot of gaps for him to get into. So that's why they've been on this run. They're one of the teams that's been more challenging for us, and I'm sure I expect the same when we play them Tuesday night.
Leonard, thank you for the time today. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. All right, we'll move along now. I believe Steve Forbes from Wake Forest is up next. Let's see if he is on here.
I'm here somewhere. How do I get this video on? There we go.
There he is. All right. Morning.
Morning.
If you got a question for Steve Forbes, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. For those just joining us, if you need access to record the call, just send me a note and I can get that for you. Mike Barber, you're up first.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Mike.
I'm curious with Efton, now that you've gotten him eligible and all, you've been through all that drama. What kind of things has he added, and is it what you envisioned when you recruited him?
Yeah, it is, Mike. Elite level communicator, elite level defender for his position. Tremendous, respect for him. The players respect him on and off the court, the way he lives his life. Just a really, really good all-around player. Doesn't have to have the ball every possession on offense. And as you know, we got some guards that'll put the ball up. But we have to do a better job of finding him and Andrew sometimes. But I think more than anything, he just anchors our defense. And we've gotten so much better defensively since we left Charleston back in, I can't remember when that was now. And he just makes a big difference around the basket. He's just an imposing individual, but he's as good a person as he is a player, and it's fun to coach him. And you got to remember this. He won the position from June to whenever right before we played Rutgers. He was the guy. He just wasn't able to play, and so it wasn't like our guys didn't know. I mean, they wanted him in there. And so that helped, the only time, he practiced every day except when we played. And so he's been a tremendous addition to our team.
When you take a transfer, obviously you do your research, you're hoping to get a high character guy. You don't really know though, till you get him. How pleased, anxious, whatever were you in terms of how he handled his situation of having to sit out and how he dealt with all that?
Shocking how well he handled it. I mean, him, his mother, Maria, nobody could handle it better than they did. There was no whining, poor me, none of that. He just went about his business. And truthfully, it made it easier on me because I didn't have to. I mean, I wanted them to play, but I tried to, once the season started, I had to keep moving, and convince myself I was probably gonna maybe coach the year without him, and so he handled it like a champion. And I think that's a reflection back on what type of person that he is. I didn't know him. I didn't recruit him out of high school. I made maybe one COVID call and he probably laughed at me and said, next, like Hunter did, next. you know, but his high school coach told me what a tremendous person, like when he does, his high school coach called me and asked me if I would be interested in him. I was not recruiting him when I was recruiting Hunter. Okay. I had already been down the road deep with Hunter. I'd been to Spokane. I hadn't even met with Efton when I went to Spokane. Okay. And he didn't visit till after Hunter came in, you know. And so when I had this hour-long conversation with his high school coach, and he from there in Richmond, and the things he told me about him, I just knew this was the right place for him, you know. And then after talking to him and his mother, I talked to Maria probably for an hour on the phone one night, and I don't typically do that. I was like, wow, you know. And then when they came on campus, it was, yeah, I knew this was the right place.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
We'll go next to Brett Friedlander. Go ahead, Brett.
Hi, Steve. Hope you're doing well this morning, and I hope Janetta's continue to make really good progress.
Thank you.
So when Florida State got kept out of the football playoff, the committee made a point to say that one of the reasoning was that they were a different team without their star player.
Yeah.
Your team is kind of the opposite. You played the first 7 games without a star player. How do you think the committee should look at those 7 games when we get to March, and how do you think they might?
I hadn't really thought about it, Brett. It's a good question. You talking about was Efton not playing?
Yeah.
Still don't
You're a
have
different
Damari
team now,
too.
right? I mean,
Well, I don't have Damari Monsanto either, guys. I mean, he led to the ACC in threes, you know, and so I think you got to look at it. To be honest with you, I mean, it's not how you. This is part of the problem with how we go about doing this. You know, we put all this emphasis on November, but it's how you're playing at the end. I mean, the tournament's not in November; it's in March. Last time I checked, and so if we're still playing well, which we hope that we are, then I think you have to. I mean, it just wouldn't be right if you didn't, you know, to look at our team and go, I'm not saying we would have beat Georgia or Utah or LSU. I don't know, you know, but we'd have had a lot better chance, you know, and I think the numbers are proving it out. Now, you know, come on, man, we got 17 league games left. I mean, a lot can happen, but I do think, I don't know if there's a precedent for that, Brett. You'd have to ask the bracketologists, what do you call those guys? Proctologists, bractologists.
I think that's pretty accurate, proctologists.
Yeah, you'd have to ask those guys about that. I don't know how that works, but I would hope there'd be some common sense, eye test, whatever you want to call it, in that room when you get around to doing that.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, and have a good week.
We'll go to Cam Lemons-DeBro.
Hey, Steve. You know, with the front court of Andrew Carr, Keller, Efton, I feel like a lot of the focus on them has been the uptick in rebounding, defense, you know, kind of doing the little things. Carr had 5 assists last game. Is there ever a bit of a more impetus on them getting more involved offensively and kind of scoring a little more and not having everything kind of put on Hunter and Cam and Boopy?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that some of that's something that's where we can get better, Cam. I mean, I wasn't very happy how we played offense on Saturday. We did, you know, Miami's the elite transition basketball team, one like maybe the best in the country, and so you got to keep them out of transition so you don't turn it over. Well, we didn't turn it over much, but we took 9, in my opinion, 9 bad shots. That's 19 turnovers, in my opinion. That's 19 opportunities for them to be in transition, or 9 at least. And so it's like, I think we have better possessions when they're apart. Doesn't mean they're shooting it, but when they touch it. And so I think that's the area that we can continue to get better at. Now, listen, we got 3 guards can get there at any time. And so it's a good problem to have, but they've got to get there and make the right decision. It's not always for them. It has to be for other people. And we're doing better getting the ball in the post. And, you know, those are some things. And even to Andrew, because Andrew could take advantage of mismatches down there. So Andrew Efton need to be they need to be involved in the offense for sure. By the way, I have my Lewis lit cup here. You're going to get lit up today.
Yeah, there, it's in focus there. David Teal, go ahead.
Steve, you're all awfully picky about an offense that ranks so high in metrics and has 4 guys averaging 14 a game. But, you know, 6 games in a row of over 80 points. Overall, I'm guessing you are happy with how you're playing offense.
Oh, for sure, David. I mean, as a coach, you want to try to continue to get better. I've always believed that each practice, each day, each week to week, you're either getting better or getting worse, and we've always been able to score the ball. I knew that going into the season. I said that. And that's why coming out of Charleston, David, we had to get better defensively. It wasn't that we could score. We're going to score points. And yeah, I'm pleased. I think we're very unselfish for the most part. I think it's just, we have a lot of different ways we can score. And so we have to keep everybody involved in that. Even Parker can come in the game and stretch it, defend, he can make shots. And if at some point Damari ever comes back, then, you talk about having some driving lanes now. They'll be standing out there face guarding him. And so, yeah, we're a good offensive team, but we have been pretty much since we've been here, except my first year, which didn't count in my opinion. But, I think we are in a good place right now offensively.
And then just a real quick follow-up on Efton. You mentioned talking for so long to his high school coach and that he had reached out to you. Did you guys have a previous relationship?
No, Richard Sander, Dr. Sander?
Yeah, of course.
He hired me at East Tennessee State. He's my mentor to this day. He reached out to him. He reached out to Doc, and then Doc put us together. And so that's kind of how it came down. I wasn't really pursuing him. Not that I wouldn't have. I just, I already got turned down at the altar once. I didn't want to get my feelings hurt again. Can only take rejection so many times. And so, but it was Dr. Sander. It was Richard. It was he put us together, and then we did all the legwork on it.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business if you can't handle rejection.
Yeah, well, trust me. I asked my wife about that. Yeah.
We'll wrap it up here with Connor O'Neill. Go ahead, Connor.
Steve, I had one quick clarity question on Efton. Was his mom in attendance Saturday, and if so, was that her first game?
No, she's been there. I think she's been at every game we played at home. Pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't. That's one of the neat things about having kids like that, or parents can come to the game. We have a lot of parents that come to the game. And I will say this about NIL. I think that's one thing that kids are able to do that don't live around close, like Cameron Hildreth and Matt Marsh. They've been able to use some of their money and help their parents come see them play. And I think that's really neat, because I don't think people realize how hard it is, how much expensive it is for these people that don't live locally to come watch their kids play. And so I do think that's a pretty cool deal. And but yeah, I saw Maria up there. She was cheering.
The 4 Reed jersey is what tipped me off, and I hadn't noticed that yet. So yeah. Thanks.
That doesn't surprise me. She's I call her Mama Bear. So Mama Bear is going to be at the game. I can promise you that.
All right. With that, Steve, thank you. Appreciate the time. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
All right. We'll move along here. Next up is Kenny Payne from Louisville. I think he is on here.
How we doing?
There he is. Good morning, Kenny. Good to see you.
Good morning.
If you have a question for Kenny Payne, go ahead, use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, just let me know that as well, and I can get that for you. First question will come from Brooks Holton. Go ahead, Brooks.
Hey, Kenny. Good morning.
What's up, Brooks?
Just wanted to get an update on Trey and Manny's injury status. Do you think that they're going to practice today?
I hope they practice today. Hadn't heard yet. It's still early in the morning for them. So, again, I know they're day to day, and I'm hoping today we get good news and they can get ready to practice and get us ready for a Miami team that's really good.
And then just
to answer your question, basically it's day to day.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the latest.
Yeah. And then, just talking about Miami, they have a high scoring offense. What will be the biggest test for your defense, if you guys are, shorthanded again?
Well, when you look at their team and you see in conference play, they got 3 guys averaging basically 18 points a game. They score 80 points a game. They average 9 threes in that span. Shoot it at a high clip, 44, 45%. They're a very good offensive team. They share the ball. They're a great offensive team that we got to defend. And so we can't relax anywhere on the court, and we got to play with some physicality on their home court.
Michelle Kaufman, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald here. How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, how do you think this Miami team compares with last year's Miami team? What are the differences? Without Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller, how do you think that they've compensated for that? And do you see any weak spots? Is there anything that surprises you?
Well, first of all, last year's team, I think, went to a Final Four, right? So the rest is to be seen if they can duplicate that, because they are a really good team. They're a really good offensive team. But getting the Final Fours, that's what they're going against. That's what their measuring stick is. They are capable. They're more than capable on the offensive end. They share the ball. They brought in guys from other places that have had success, and they got a great coach. So they're a very good team.
I want to ask one quick question. How are they different with and without Wooga? Because Wooga Poplar has not played the last couple games with an injury. What do they lose when they don't have him?
Well, to me, that's your glue guy. That's a guy that brings great energy, that does a lot of different things. He's gotten better scoring the ball on the offensive end. He's worked hard since he's been there from day one to now, to get better offensively. He rebounds. He's great in transition. Very good defender. He makes them a very, very, very tough team to play against, simply because he does all the dirty stuff and he's a winner.
Thank you.
Mike Barber, go ahead.
Yeah, looking at Matt Cleveland, what are some of the ways that he's enhanced or changed that team? It seems like he's fit in and had kind of that instant impact.
Well, obviously, when you look at, and I'm just looking at conference play, and he's averaging 17, 18 a game, that speaks for itself. When a guy can just plug into a system like that and have that kind of success coming from a great program under Leonard Hamilton. He's been a difference maker for him. He's been a player that helps them get over the hump, and they haven't lost a beat from last year to this year.
As you think of guys you are coaching, guys you've coached before in your career, been around, what are the trademarks that make you say, hey, that guy could be a coach when his playing days are over? What are things that jump out to you?
Few things. One, does he love what he's doing? Not like. He has to love it. As a player, you have to be a giver, not a taker. And in this generation, that's hard to do. So when you find young men that are givers, that they have a love, a passion for it. They love giving to their team. All that translates to coaching. Probably just a knowledge of the game, a feel for the game. You can, as a player, you can tell which players can end up being great coaches based off of what they've experienced and how they react to what, both good and bad, to what happens on the court.
Thank you.
Jody Demling, go ahead, sir.
Kenny D'Lo obviously played for Miami last year, got his first start, the other day because of the injuries. What have you seen from him? And what's the kind of the next step? What do you want out of him and moving forward, and when his minutes are probably going to be larger the rest of the year?
One, I think D'Lo's, he's an integral part of what we're doing, Jody. And it may not show up in a stat sheet. I need a player that can pass the basketball. He can do that. I need a player that has an understanding for where to be on the court, spacing, unselfish, can get a tough rebound. He can do all of those things. I just need him to believe in himself and go out and play hard as he can. And if he makes mistakes, we can live with that. But just make him being aggressive, assertive, and confident. I love the kid. He's a tough-minded kid. He just has to know that we trust him, and that's why we brought him here.
That was my follow up on that. You kind of mentioned it, but is he a guy that the stats might not show how good he does for your team on the floor? You know what I mean? He means more than just stats.
No question. He keeps things steady on the court. I would like for him to be confident in knowing that, look, if you're uncomfortable shooting a 3-ball, take a step in and knock down a long 2. I'm okay with that. I just need the ball to go through the basket. If you drive it and you know you're going against an athlete and you know the athlete may block the shot, give him a shot fake, go to the free throw line, knock down 2. Be willing to give up your body on a box out. Be willing to give up your body and take a charge. Look, D'Lo is one of those guys that's learning about himself and learning what his place is on a basketball court. But defensively, guys like D'Lo can have a super, super productive career just by being a positional defensive player. And that's what I'm trying to get him to understand. You don't have to be the active in somebody's face, but just being in the spot that you're supposed to be in and having great position is vital for you.
I got time for one more question from Brooks Holton. Go ahead, Brooks.
Yeah, Kenny, after the game Saturday, you talked about guys needing to play confident through mistakes. I'm just wondering, with guys like D'Lo and Caleb just, getting a more run now, just how big of a moment was that for them to be able to, to be able to play through those mistakes? And then, do you see their confidence growing? After you guys go back and look at the film of the game and try to correct the mistakes.
Well, I thought, Caleb did a very good job. He played with energy, made some mistakes, but he kept fighting through it, ran the floor hard, got a couple dunks, got a few rebounds. All of that is a positive. I just need him to get more comfortable being on the floor, be more vocal, be more energetic, play hard, play as hard as you can, as physical as you can, without fouling, and enjoy being on the floor because you're getting an opportunity to gain something that most freshmen around the country aren't getting, and that's experience, and you're learning on the fly. That's going to help you down the road, but that also can help you this season with being more comfortable being on the floor for extended minutes of time.
Kenny, thank you for the time today. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we will move along. Jim Larinaga from Miami is up next. In the meantime, if you have a question for Jim, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, send me a note in the chat window and we can give that to you.
No questions?
Oh, there he is. All right. Sorry. It took a second for yeah. No. It took a second for your image to pop up. I didn't know.
Oh, really?
No, but you're good now. It's there. Good morning. Good to see you.
Morning.
Michelle Kaufman, you're up first.
Hey, Jim. Happy New Year. I want to ask you about Wooga, how he's doing. What's the status on him, do you think, for Wednesday? And what is the team missing when he doesn't play? You obviously have a lot of players who can score on this team. What does the team miss when he's not on the floor? Thanks.
Well, we miss our leading scorer. We got a lot of good guys who can score, but he's really, really good. He's at the top of that list. Actually, there's 4 guys on our team that are very, very hard to guard and can produce a lot of points. Nigel Pack, Wooga Poplar, Matthew Cleveland, and Norshad Omir. But we also have guys like Keyshawn George who's stepping up, and Bensley Joseph, who's very capable of having double figures. So, but we want Wooga back. We're hoping he'll be back by Wednesday, but we won't know that till Wednesday.
So it's day to day. It's day to day with him.
Yeah, like we practice in a couple of hours. It's now 11. We practice at 1. We'll see how he does then.
Can I ask one follow up on Keyshawn? A big breakthrough game the other day. You said earlier on that you were hoping for him to be more, aggressive, more this. Can you talk about his evolution the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, we've been encouraging him. I wouldn't say kicking him in the butt, but he's heard my wrath a few times in the last couple of weeks because I've been waiting very patiently for him to take major steps forward. And in these last games, he has. So hopefully he can keep that up.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Isabel Charles. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Just a few days removed from Wake Forest game now. Just what are your thoughts about what was the biggest difference down the stretch, and just what do you want to see from your guys heading into this matchup against Louisville?
Well, I would say this. I'm very, very proud of the guys and how hard they fought on the road. A lot of adversity. First playing without our leading scorer, Wigga Poplar, and then Nigel Pack sprains his ankle. Then Norshad Omier sprains an ankle. We got in early foul trouble with Bensley Joseph. And yet we found a way to actually pull ahead and had a chance to win it in regulation. And, sometimes the ball goes in and sometimes it doesn't. So in overtime, we got a quick lead on them. But the most disappointing thing is we didn't rebound the ball the way we needed to in the overtime. They tipped the ball out on 2 occasions right near us, and they out hustled us for the ball. And that led to another foul and another basket. So we just need to be a little bit more consistent. I think it'll help if we're healthy. But as I said, we're not only dealing now with a ankle sprain by Wigga Poplar, but now we got to deal with it with Nigel Pack and Norshad Omier.
We'll go next to Brooks Holton. Go ahead, Brooks.
Hey, Jim. For Louisville, Brandon Huntley Hatfield's a big part of what they're doing. I think teams have definitely made him a point of emphasis of the past 2 games and tried to slow him down. I think he's had 12 points between the last 2 games after having 3 straight double-doubles. As you scout them, and what are some things you can do to try to slow him down and to try to, when this team is so shorthanded, to try to, make the ball go to guys who haven't had as much, much time running the court as others in the team?
Well, first of all, I think Louisville is a much improved team from not only a year ago, but even just a month ago. The way they're sharing the ball, the balance in their offense, they're getting some great play inside. They're doing a lot of posting up, a lot of 2-point baskets. But then their guards are very much like Wake Forest's guards. They're very hard to guard. So I think Johnson and Sky and Mike James are a very formidable backcourt. They can all handle. They can all shoot it. They can all score it. And I like their team right now. I think they're playing well.
I'll go next to David Teal.
Jim, how has Norshad refined and improved his game from last season when obviously he had a huge impact?
Well, I would say this, David. The first thing is Norshad went on that NBA tour. He did a lot of tryouts and got a lot of feedback from the NBA. And they were all saying that, hey, you need to handle the ball more. You need to shoot some threes and work on your defense and stuff. So he's taken that to heart. He's doing a very good job. He's handling the ball more and better. He's shooting threes more and better than last year. And he's always been a tremendous competitor at the defensive end of the floor as a post defender and as a rebounder. So I think he's, an all-conference caliber player, having a great year. He's so valuable for us. We got to have him on the floor. He went out for 2 minutes against Wake Forest the other day, and all of a sudden we're down. I think they outscored us like 10-zip.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Chris Stock. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach, when Wooga returns, are you considering leaving Keyshawn in that starting lineup, or do you still like, having Bensley in that top group with everything he brings to the team, especially his defense?
Well, right now, we have 7 guys that I feel very, very confident and comfortable in them rotating with each other because they're all versatile. So we have the veteran crew that started most of the games until, Nigel got hurt and now Wooga got hurt. So we have Nigel Bensley, Wooga, Matthew Cleveland, Norshad Omier, Keyshawn George, and AJ Casey. And so those 7 guys have really earned the right to play as many minutes as they can earn on the floor. So we're going to play those 7 and rotate them. And then Christian Watson and Michael Nwako need to be ready because you never know what's going to happen with foul trouble or sickness or injury. So hopefully those guys can really stay ready as well.
Go back to Michelle Kaufman.
Jim, I want to ask a follow-up on ankles. You mentioned Nigel and Norchad. They both still played, later in the game. Are they 100% for Wednesday, or are they still hobbling a little bit?
Oh no, they're definitely not 100%. I'd say Nigel's in the worst shape. He really helped us by playing, but looking back on it now, would we have done the same thing even with the sprain? Yes, but he's going to need some rest right now.
And Norchad, you think he'll be able to go Wednesday?
Norshad's a different kind of human being. He's like if you hurt a lion, how does he respond? Well, he just gets angry and is more aggressive. So I think Norshad will be fine.
Thank you.
We'll squeeze one quick final question in from Jody Demling.
Hey, Jim. Jovanovic is a guy that you recruited, obviously was with you guys all last year. He got his first start for Louisville on Saturday. Now they've had some injuries. His minutes have been going up. Can you just talk about what you see? You had him for a year, what he kind of brings to a team, and what you've seen him grow this year now that he's at Louisville?
Well, the first thing is, last year when he came to us, he was injured a good bit of the preseason. And by the time the season started, he came into me and said, "Hey, I think I should redshirt." So we confirmed that that's what his family wanted, and so we redshirted him last year. When he finally got healthy and I'd say 100% healthy, was probably late December, early January, and he practiced and played very well. And he looked like he was going to be able to make a very, very nice contribution. I see, what we saw in high school, the way he played. We see it him playing for Louisville now. He can transport the ball, move the ball, find the open man. He can hit the open shot. He's good at cutting. He's a good team-oriented player.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time today. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. All right, we'll move along. Hubert Davis from North Carolina is up next. Let's see if he is on here. I don't believe he's on just yet, so we'll hold for a second and we'll get him on here.
We should just let Michael Coe fill in for Hubert today.
I don't think I'd be very good at that, AJ.
You know, everybody had a Roy imitation. I have not heard anybody do a Hubert imitation. Does anybody have a Hubert?
Just make sure if you do, just say tweak, pivot, and alter.
Yeah. And the phone, the family, and the friends.
Phone, family, and the friends. Turn off the noise. Come
Now,
on,
if you
everybody,
ask us-
chime in here. Let's have some fun.
If you ask us to do Mac Brown imitation, we could go all down the line.
Everybody's got one of those.
Yeah.
Well, we need Adam Smith for that. We can't do Mac Brown imitation without Adam Smith.
Yeah, it's Money Making Monday. Where is he?
Oh my gosh. Jeez. I didn't think I was going to have to hear that for another 8 months, Michael.
There's no off season, AJ. You know that.
I know. Goodness knows I know. I had to stop twice in McDonald's driving home from Clemson yesterday to post breaking news. One breaking news actually occurred. The other one didn't occur. So gotta love. Andy, how you doing?
I'll be better here in a second, but all
Are you
good.
texting Steve? Are you texting Steve? Say, get Hubert on.
I'm just sending it to them. Yeah.
Anybody have a recording of the Final Jeopardy theme we can put up there while we're waiting? Or
Play that.
I can understand.
They play that at Durham Bulls games when there's an imposing mound visit.
Yep.
We used to play the sound of glass breaking whenever a foul ball went over the back of the ballpark, but they made us stop doing that.
You know, when I was in Fayetteville, the team there used to do that, but they had it sponsored. Like Allstate Glass would say, they'd play it and they'd say Allstate Glass.
That's
In
great.
Baltimore, when opposing pitcher used to get yanked, they would play that song, Take This Job and Shove It. I ain't working here no more.
See, and you didn't think this was going to be an informative conference call. It's so funny, AJ.
Well, I see Andy's on his phone and he's calling to get Hubert on. That's what's so funny.
I don't know. I thought he was ordering lunch.
Just remember, he's not calling Hubert out. He's calling him up.
Keep rolling, Michael.
I think the only one I have left is energy, effort, and toughness. That's the only one that's coming to mind that we haven't hit.
No, a battle in the trenches.
There we go.
Yeah, he's been doing the trenches stuff a lot lately. Maybe he's been listening to some Mac Brown pressers.
He says
But he's
rivalries.
right, though. He's actually right.
If he says rivalries are fun, I'm logging off.
Okay, guys. I think since I'm still waiting to hear back on Hubert, Kevin Keatts is already on. He is early and ready to go, so we might just flip-flop this and we'll bring Hubert on, or we'll bring Hubert on after if we can get him. So
that's why you scheduled the open date after Keatts, huh?
no, that was convenient. But yeah, that might end up working out to my advantage here. So
Well, I think Hubert was late a few times last year too, wasn't he?
I mean,
So-
things happen. So
maybe that was some built-in planning on your part.
but but Kevin is here, and we appreciate him being super early. So good morning. Good to see you.
Guys, good morning. How are you?
Doing better since you're here early, so we appreciate it.
Thank you. I get brownie points for that, right?
Yeah, I believe somebody just told me you get 10 bonus points for Wednesday night. So there you go.
Thanks. I'll take it.
Mike Barber, you're up first.
Hey, Coach, good to see you again. Just going back to Saturday, in terms of your defensive plan against McNeely, what did you think of him going in? What did you think of the way your guys defended him? Obviously, you had a comfortable victory, but he was able to get going at some times.
Yeah, you know what? We wanted Mike obviously to make everything tough for him. He is, he's one of the elite shooters in our league and probably in the country. I thought we did a decent job. I thought late he got available. I think early he started off and made one, and then he got available late. But he draws so much attention. He makes you extend your defense a little bit because he can shoot it out, shoot it from so far behind the 3-point line. Hadn't shot the ball great, and we wanted to make sure that we continued that. And I thought we were just okay with him. I thought he made some shots. Obviously, one of the things we talked about is making him deck the basketball instead of being able to shoot standstill shots, because he's elite at that when you do that.
And then a year ago he was kind of a catch and shoot guy primarily. This year seems more comfortable with that mid-range jumper. How does that kind of add to his challenge?
Well, it's anytime you got a guy who can make shots, out to NBA line, because everybody's going to try to run him off the line, and you can get to a 1-2 dribble pull up. It makes it tough on your defense, and he has added that to his game, and being able to do that stuff. He's because of the fact that Beekman's playing so much point, which kind of moves him more into more of a secondary ball handler guy. He's been improved in those areas.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll go next to James Henderson. Go ahead, James.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing today? Just wanted to ask you about Jaden Taylor and his defense, man. He's been really good for you guys. Just over your time at NC State in terms of guards, have you had many guys like him in terms of what he can do on the ball?
James, we have been so blessed in the last couple of years to have two guys who can really guard the basketball. Last year I was completely Jaquel Joyner, who could pick up 94 feet and turn guys and really get after it. And I think Jaden's kind of embraced that role. Wasn't always that way. What he talked about when he first got here, everything is about scoring. And we showed him a lot of clips of how Jaquel Joyner was able to defend the best, pick up pressure, defend the point guard from the other team, but also be able to score his points. And I think, now that we're into January in the ACC play, he's learned how to play on both ends of the floor, but he can really make it tough. He's got great size. He anticipates well, and he can turn you as we, get up and down the court. So he really fits into what we're trying to do defensively.
Thanks.
Thanks, James.
JC Zemble, you are up next.
Back-to-back defensive questions. What is it like to have three different legit post players that you could throw at an opposing center?
What's good? Are you calling? It depends if you're calling DJ Burns a post defender. It's good. I think when we got different guys, JC, that can play different ways. I think the more physical guy in the post will probably be Ben, and then Mo can switch a lot of screens but confront you, and then DJ, obviously we try to get him sometimes just to use his size and make people shoot over you. But it is good to have some guys that can give you different looks. We got in our league, we have really good post players, and to have three different guys can play you different ways. And, you got guys like Quinn Post who can step out and shoot it, Armando who's really good around the basket, PJ who can do both. And so it's good to have three different guys that can guard guys different ways.
I'll go next to Rob McLam. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, Kevin, I have two questions. First of all, this is kind of new frontiers, 3-0 going into this game. Have you spoken about that in the rivalry, or do you just strip it down and keep it simple?
No, these guys don't know about, believe it or not, they don't know stats as we do. They don't follow it as much as we do. all they looking at is that, Rob, that, we just won our last game. And so we'll talk about, the one thing I've been able to do with this group is focus in on who we're playing next. And obviously, the next opponent is Carolina. But we won't talk about, hey, you've won this many games and haven't done that since then. We're proud that, you look at the way we've done it so far, it's been really good, 2 road games, and, being able to come back and take care of home court against a very good Virginia team says a lot. And we just want to build on that.
My follow-up, sir, the 3 teams that you lost to, they all seem to be doing really well. I know Tennessee just put it on Ole Miss. How does that bode for you guys? First of all, is that good for the net? I don't know a lot about the net, but is that good for you guys? And then I'm not a net aficionado, I'll admit it. And then the second, does that sort of tell you, hey, we're not far away?
Well, I don't know, Rob, you're asking the wrong man about the net after being left out a few years ago with 32 nets. So I don't have any idea if that helps us or hurt us. But what I will say it does show us that, that we can play different type of games against different type of people. And, the 3 teams that we lost to, we think that they're really good basketball teams. Would have been better if we beat them. I know that would have helped our net, but it shows our guys that we've grown. And you think about the non-conference, you play a competitive non-conference to prepare you for ACC play, and I think those 3 teams have really prepared us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Kip Coons, go ahead, sir.
Morning, Kevin. One thing I noticed Saturday in your game, you don't often pair 2 of your bigs together. At least you didn't against Virginia. I don't know if it was matchups or not, but with your 4-guard lineup, is that sustainable for you for the course of the season, or do you need to kind of adapt and use two of your bigs together and maybe give up some of that perimeter offense?
Yeah, that depends on the opponent. I think if you go back to our Boston College game, we ended up starting, both DJ and Ben together because obviously, the 2 bigs that they have, some of it will come down to matchups. What I like about it is that we do have the ability to play big. Typically, we've got 4 guards and we don't have a bigger 4-man that's a physical guy that we can play. So a lot of that will come down to depending on who we play and how we match up. And that's both offensively and defensively.
Go next to Jaden Watson-Fisher. Go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, obviously, Carolina is a big matchup, a really experienced opponent. What do you think you can bring to the game that can kind of challenge the Tar Heels?
Well, I think they're a good basketball team. When you look at the numbers, they're playing really well. It's hard to believe that RJ Davis is playing his best basketball because he's played well every year. But he is. He's playing really good basketball, and Armando's kind of gotten going. Last game with 16 points and 14 rebounds. But I think what the good thing about this team is when you look at them, they're really good at every position. I think we have to play NC State basketball. We have to do a good job. Probably against Virginia, we did a great job of moving the basketball and, playing inside out. Obviously we've got a really good post player in DJ Burns so we can play through. But I think the biggest thing for us is just staying the course and doing the things that we do well.
David Teal, go ahead.
Kevin, after the game Saturday, Tony mentioned your team's physical toughness. And I think you guys had 5 and 1s where you were able to absorb a foul, finish. What did this team strike you as that type of roster as you went about preseason?
We have, David, we have developed toughness from the preseason in the summer until now. And then our guys are believing in one another. And, we've talked about, one of the things that we talked about with this team is we got to figure out how to get to the free throw line. Early in the year, I think everything was outside of the paint, and it was either DJ Burns scoring inside and everybody else taking a 3. And so now we got some guys who are committed to driving the basketball. And, we really have done a good job of working on finishing. Today's basketball, everybody likes to play off of 1 foot and hopefully that it works out. And, we've talked about, being strong and making some plays. And I think that's helped our basketball team just to be able to get to the paint and play kind of inside out and finish around the rim.
And then as you prepare for Carolina, and obviously Cadeau was a high level recruit, but his assist to turnover ratio for a freshman, I think it's almost 3-1 this season. As you look at him on video, what are your observations?
Well, he's really, really talented. And when you see freshmen, the one thing that they don't do is they don't take care of the basketball. Well, that's not the case in his situation. And he's playing really good basketball. And I think what's happened is because he's playing so well, it's allowed RJ to be able to go and be what he is, a natural scorer. But one thing I would say, he's playing enough basketball that he won't get rattled. We'll try to get after him as we play every guard that we play, but he's matured and he's one of those guys similar to Dennis Parker as a freshman for us that you can see now that it's January, they're more comfortable and they're doing better things as freshmen now.
Got time for one more question and we'll go back to JC Zemble.
Sometimes it can be hard to find consistency, but do you think that second half against Virginia kind of gave the players a blueprint of what the formula could look like?
I think we were committed to making sure that we finished we played the second half the way we finished the first half. If you look at it, we were a little slow getting going. Didn't play well offensively at Notre Dame after coming off the break. And then once we got going, but I think what happened is the ball JC didn't stick. We played inside out. We moved the basketball. And against a good Virginia team, we talked about this. If you're trying to play one-on-one, it never works in your favor. And I think, our guys followed the scouting report, especially offensively, where we had a lot of player and ball movement. So when we play that way and everybody's able to touch the basketball, we can be a really good basketball team.
Kevin, thank you for the time today. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We will have a little break here till about 11:40, and that's when Jeff Capel will come on. And also, Hubert Davis will not be able to make the call today. So I know, fortunately, he has a local availability tomorrow. So, but he won't be able to join us today.
Thank you, sir.
What's up, Andy? How you been?
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Right, good to see you as well.
The other season is over. Not quite, I guess. Yeah.
Ha! Sir, I just got asked about can you do some film articles for us this week on the playoffs? I'm like, yeah, sure, I got you.
As a Browns fan, I was hoping their season would be over, but no such luck.
The AFC North is a collective, man. Everyone's been a hard out.
Brutal this year.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years.
But yeah, it's been very competitive.
What I didn't see what do they get Miami next week?
They got the Bills.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I actually think that's the toughest of the three they could have drawn, because you look at the Chiefs, their only weapon is Kelsey right now. No one else is really reliable. The Dolphins are just so hurt up. The Bills are probably the most healthy of the three, and as far as like they still have Diggs, they still have Kincaid, they still have Cook. If Davis is healthy, he's another problem. So like they might have the best like combination of weapons with a healthier roster of those three teams, but we'll see. The Steelers, they've been running the ball. They've been running the ball really well, and their offense has been playing better the last month or so. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how they come out in this one.
Yeah, I fell asleep too early last night. I didn't realize the Bills won that game.
Right? Yep. If you had missed it, you would if you had went to sleep, you wouldn't have thought it. But Josh Allen got busy. He fixed his mistakes and pulled him through in the end.
He was rough up until then.
Those 2 interceptions were bad.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. Dude. Trip to Buffalo. That'll be a good time. Cold, but it'll be a good time.
I hate cold. But hey, the Browns get to go to Houston now. That's nice weather.
Yeah. So, decent, and it's the dome. So
and it is the dome too. That's right. Oh man.
Well, Mike Barber's a Dolphins fan, so we're crushing all his dreams right now. So
Just ruining my birthday morning with this talk.
And the Browns are in the playoffs. I'm going to enjoy it for a year.
So, is Joe Flacco the franchise quarterback next year?
Well, that salary cap hit that's coming, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, it's not great. There are better places to be than that, but
right,
we'll take our playoff trip for a year. So.
Absolutely. I mean, with their defense, they can bang with any. Like, there's no juggernaut in the AFC right now. I mean, the Ravens are that juggernaut, and the AFC North are the teams that can beat them.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. Well, I think Jeff is on. See his name there. There he is. Morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
All right, we're talking NFL here, so don't remember a bit here. We'll start with Christopher Carter. Go ahead.
Football playoff, man. That's like more important, isn't it? It's championship tonight.
I can't talk about the game tonight. That just it hurts me. It hurts my soul.
I hear you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Wanted to ask you about how you felt your team has grown with its zone defense. You guys have been using it more and more over the past few games, and it seems like it's really worked at times. Of course, there's other times where there's been mix of how you feel like your group has grown into that.
It's still a work in progress. It's still something that, we're trying to figure out the movements. Obviously, other coaches are really smart and they have different ways of attacking it. It's been good for us at times, like you mentioned, and at times it hasn't been as good, but it's still a work in progress for us.
Go next to George Mikulowski.
Hey, Jeff. John and you spent several years together coaching on the Duke staff. What memories stick out to you looking back at coaching and recruiting alongside Coach Shire?
Yeah, well, he's a really good guy, really good coach, very smart, has a really good feel. We spent a lot of time together on that staff. We were part of a great staff, obviously, with Coach K. John brought a lot to the staff when he joined after he gave up playing. Right away, you could see, what a smart basketball mind he had, what a really good feel that he had for people. and for the game. It's one of the things that made him an outstanding player. And we had some great times together, having an opportunity to coach some really good players, to work with some really good players, and to help some really good players.
I asked him the same thing this morning, and he first brought up the Jason Tatum home visit. He said it was you, Coach K, and him. What do you remember about that visit?
Well, I remember it was short. I think we won the national championship on Monday. I think we were there on Thursday. And, it was something we were all juiced and geared up for. John had done an amazing job of recruiting Jason. He had been the point person. Obviously, look, everything there was Coach, and he was the main guy. We always felt like we had the big joker because we had him. And so it was the thing that trumped everything. But John had done a really good job with Jay, with his family, with his mom, especially Brandy. And I just remember being there and going through the presentation, and Coach, was Coach. He was awesome. And I think he shocked all of us, and he committed. And we were just kind of looking at each other like, did this really happen? I said something that was an expletive, just because I was so shocked. And then I remember, Brandy serving us the amazing tacos that she makes. And it was the first time I think I've ever seen Coach drink a beer, and only time. So it was a great visit, obviously.
Stephen Thompson, you are up next. Go ahead.
Hi, Jeff. I was just wondering if you had an update on Ish and if he'll be ready for Tuesday night.
Yeah, not sure. He's going to try to practice today. He didn't do anything yesterday. He's going to try to do parts of practice today. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how he feels afterwards, and we'll probably have a better idea sometime tomorrow.
I'll go next to James Hammett. Go ahead.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Just since Ish has been down, I mean, it seems like Jalen has played a lot more these past 2 or 3 games. I just want to see, what have you seen from him, and what have you liked from those performances?
Yeah, well, I think Jalen's played well over the last 4 or 5 games. His assist to turnover ratio was outstanding over that stretch, the last 5 games. He gives us something that no one else does, as far as a guy that can, penetrate, that can probe, that can find guys. He has a really good feel. So even before Ish went down the last game, and which was the only game he didn't play, Jalen was still getting minutes against North Carolina. We went with 3 guards at times. But a big part is just that Jalen's playing better, and he provides something that we feel like no one else does.
We'll go next to Noah Hiles. Go ahead, Noah.
Hey, Jeff, just looking over what Duke does, I think there's a lot of value to be found with Proctor coming off the bench for them. Can you just speak to what you see he provides, as a 6th man to this team?
Well, it's an outstanding player. I mean, he was a guy that was one of the better guards in our league last year, certainly one of the better freshmen in our league, and was off to a really good start. He had an unfortunate injury. He's a really talented player. He's experienced. He and Roach give them experience at the guard positions. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't, care about starting. He seems like a team guy. He wasn't starting at the beginning last year, but was still playing well. When it was his turn to start, he started. Once Roach got hurt, they're guys which, I imagine they're all about the right stuff. They're all about trying to win, and outside people put more into starting mainly a lot of times than players do. But he's a really, really good player. He's got great size. He has a really good feel. He can score it. He can pass it. And he has experience. And for them, I'm sure that's a huge thing, because they, play 2 babies like we do with McCain and Foster, who are also very, very talented. McCain over the last 4 games is their leading scorer, shooting the heck out of the basketball. Look, they have really talented players, and they're a very, very good team.
Jerry DePaula, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. I was just wondering, you've used the word physicality a lot this season as far as talking about your team, referencing your opponent. John Shire used the same word this morning. Is the game of basketball becoming a more physical game in the past several years?
I don't know, man. We watch these officiating videos at the beginning of each year, and that's something they say they want to take out of the game, especially the freedom of movement. And then you get in these games, and it seems like it's hand-to-hand combat. So I don't know. I think it depends on each game. How the game is being officiated is different, and those guys do a great job. We just have to be more physical. Like, we have to be able to play through physical. I'm not saying fouling. We have to be able to be stronger. We can't get the basketball knocked away from us. We have to be able to, complete our cuts. We have to be able to get open. We have to be able to finish through contact. I do think coaches are doing a better job now of teaching verticality on drives. I think that's something that I've seen, and the coaches and the players, more importantly, have done an outstanding job of being able to execute that. But we have to do a better job. And that's on us. That's on us as a coaching staff and us as players. We have to do a better job of being able to execute properly against physicality.
David Teal, go ahead.
Jeff, one of the most stark differences in your team last year and this year, at least in terms of the metrics, is defensive rebounding. Last year, you were barely in the top 200. This year, you're way high nationally. Did you suspect during preseason that this was going to be a better rebounding team?
I did not. It was something that I really worried about. I talked to our team about it a lot in July. And one of the things we talked about was that we have to do it as a group. We don't have a guy, and I told them this. I did it to try to challenge them. Maybe we'd have someone step up. Like, I've coached a kid when I was a head coach before that's led the country in rebounding. I've coached a kid since I've been here that led the conference in rebounding. I don't think we have a guy that I can pencil in every day that can get 12 rebounds, 13 rebounds a game. So we have to do it as a group. Now, we have done it as a group. Our guys, our guards have really gotten in there and rebounded, and we've been pretty good, on that end. We have to continue to get better. Like, that has to be a point of emphasis for us, especially against this Duke team that has great size, strength, and athletic ability, and has the capability of really being a dominant offensive rebounding team.
Carrington's given you a lot there, hadn't he?
Carrington's given us a lot. Leggett's given us a lot. Zach Alston's given us a lot. Our last game against Louisville, Jalen Lowe had 6 defensive rebounds. And so, again, it has to be us collectively as a group. We haven't shown that we have one guy that goes in there every game that you can pencil in. So we have to be really good collectively as a group.
Jeff, thank you. That's all the time that we have today.
Okay. You guys take care. All right.
Okay, we will bring on Adrian Autry here now from Syracuse. Sign up here. We'll give it just a second here and have him get on with video here. Red is having just a bit of an issue with getting the Zoom to work, so he is trying. So we'll give it just a second here.
Hello.
There you are. Good to see you. Good morning.
Have some
Technology,
difficulty getting on.
right? It happens. It happens. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Welcome. If you have a coach or a question for Coach Autry, please use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, just send me a note in the chat window. And Mike Waters is up first. Go ahead, sir.
Adrian, in the game against Duke last week, the team didn't shoot well from 3-point range. That's been true of most of your losses. Is that a big concern, or how big a concern is that moving forward? And how can you find good shots for guys and get some of these guys going from 3-point range?
I don't think it's that much of a concern. I think the concerning thing is obviously in conference play, our defense has been not good at all so far. I think when it comes to the shot selection, I think the better shots is taking better shots. Getting good shots is taking better shots. And I think we have to do a better job of that and kind of moving the ball a little bit better. And our spacing has to be a little bit better so that we can create some good shots.
Has this week between the two games given some of the guys a chance to get in some more practice and some more shooting time and maybe work on their shots with the assistants or by themselves?
Yeah, we've been in the gym. We've had a chance to get some shots up. Again, I think when you talk about shot making, a lot of that is the type of shots that you get. So we've really been stressing our ball movement and trying to pass the ball better. We haven't. Again, in our 3 conference games, we haven't done anything really well right now. We just, we haven't played well. We've had two games on the road and 1 game at home. So I think we have to do a better job of spacing and passing the basketball. I think that'll help. That'll help our shots.
I'll go next to David Teal. Go ahead, David.
Adrian, you said that defensively you guys in conference play have not been up to snuff, but during the non-conference, the metrics would suggest that you were pretty good defensively. To what do you attribute perhaps a decline there?
I think some of it has to do with the 2 opponents that we played on the road. We caught a red hot Virginia team. Again, they shot the ball extremely well against us. I think that was the most points they scored all year against us. And then again, Duke, we gave up 86 points the other day. So again, there you have it. It's a small sample size, but again, that's what's happened in conference, and that's where we're at right now. So I kind of throw those other metrics out the door now and just start looking at these metrics and figuring out how we got to get back down to, like you said, the non-conference metrics were pretty decent. So again, it's just some has to do with the opponents. I mean, most of it has to do with the opponents, but we can't just overlook those. We have to really stay focused on those, and that's what we've done the last 5 or 6 days.
Mike Waters, I don't know if you lowered your hand or if you still had it up, but if you have another question, go ahead. No, all good. Anyone else for Coach Autry? All right, we're gonna make it nice and easy for you today. So sorry for the technological issues. Thank you.
All right.
See you next week.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, with that, we'll move along. Next up is Tony Bennett from Virginia. See if he is on here. In the meantime, if you have a question for Tony, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, just let me know that as well.
Andy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good to see you. Good morning.
You too.
Mike Barber, you're up first.
Morning, Coach.
Morning. Let me get you. Okay, go ahead.
All good. I'm curious in terms of you've talked so much after the game about the inexperience of your guys and kind of learning as you go here. From a leadership standpoint, we know you have Reese, who's played a ton of basketball. Where do you get leadership from, player leadership, in terms of the other guys? Is it Dunn and McNeely because they've been around you? Is it some of the transfers because they've played more? What's the makeup on that front?
Yeah, I think it's collectively. I think we as coaches have to do a great job of providing that leadership. And again, what a good opportunity for Reese in this spot. And then, the two young guys that have been here in Isaac and Ryan, but it's a collective thing. I don't know. We don't have, maybe the boisterous natural leaders and, with that. So it's got to kind of be everybody. We've got some guys who will talk on the floor. But there's also, when you're new to stuff or you're a little uncertain, it's hard to be bold in your leadership. So it's collective, and you just keep pushing that way. And, some things are your personality type, and so you got to push it out of them. But I do think it's important for us as a staff to do it, and then keep trying to get the most out of it. At times we're a little quiet, you come in, and that I think is, you want to have a talkative team. So all this stuff I think is a journey that, we're pushing and growing in, but you really find that out on the road a lot, that leadership you need sometimes, and the player-led teams. But I think this has to be an everybody-led team doing your part.
And you mentioned that vocalness, some of I know you've had some guys who have big personalities, right? Who will wave to the crowd or do those kind of things. Do you need that to have energy, especially on the road? Do you need that kind of alpha dog with a big personality?
Yeah, I don't know if you need to wave to the crowd. You do whatever you want. Like, it's just between the lines. You gotta, I mean, that stuff. You want energy. You want positive stuff. You want guys that are competitive and intense, and just like sound tough, emotionally intelligent leadership. I mean, that's the best way, because the fake stuff or the fluff stuff that gets kind of washed away when it really gets into the tough times. And again, leadership's as much about hanging together when it's tough. When it's going well, it's kind of, I don't even know how much leadership you need. You need it to get there, but that's what it is more about, and that's where it's tried and it's tested.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll go next to Kip Coons. Go ahead, Kip.
Hi, Tony. One thing that really stood out to me last week, Ryan Dunn has had two extremely efficient offensive games, and he seems like he's more growing into that role, especially when he's seeing more time as the three. And I just wondered, do you see that improvement in his offensive game that seems obvious to me anyway?
Yeah, no, Ryan's improved for sure. And ironically, he's, his energy is so good. He plays hard and continuous. And again, he's still new to all this. But actually, he's been more effective and efficient as we've had him probably grabbing more rebounds, rolling on the rim, playing more kind of 15 and in. But has he improved his ball handling? Has he improved his ability to take shots? All that. But it's been a little more slashing and finishing dunks, getting on the glass probably is where he's been more efficient. But he's got to be able to do it all. I mean, we have a few different base things we do offensively, and I think he's made some better decisions on some drives and looks a little more certain with it. And so I just think his game has improved and is continuing to get better, and the best is yet to come. But he's got to be kind of a multiple position inside, slashing outside, and, keep working obviously on his outside shot, his free throw shooting, those things he's got to keep going. But in decision making, and I think he has these last two games from an offensive standpoint, he has been more efficient. But I don't know if it's whether it's, he's getting it kind of more playing the forward spot at times we've used him as a 3. So he's got some nice mid-range pull-ups, but a lot of it has been finishing around the rim, running the floor, and some good, kind of slashing plays.
If I could follow up there, Andy, did Blake Buchanan earn more playing time after his outing Saturday, Tony?
So much of it's a lot is split in that stuff, but we were going against DJ and we just thought, we needed some size and length and tried to do it that way. He's really good. And I thought he battled. He's, obviously last year, I don't think he was playing against anybody quite like DJ Burns or the guys he's playing at the same time. So one thing that he brings is much heart and attitude. There's certainly some young mistakes he makes and he gives up a lot on the weight, but as he continues to get strong, I just think he brought some toughness and scrap that, he did some good things, and, he'll continue to get better in terms of catch and finish and all that, but he does have some quickness and length that was important. And I thought against NC State, we got off to a solid start, for the, whatever it was, 12, 15 minutes, we had the right mindset, and then it got away from us. But I think he's been he's played a little more early, and then, we used him because of the defensive side and the length.
We'll go next to David Teal.
Tony, is Dante Harris close to getting back to practice?
Yeah, I hope so. He looks like he's moving around a little better. As I said, it was a pretty significant ankle sprain when he did it. It's been, I think it was a little before the Texas A&M game. I think it was that week, so I can't remember the exact date. But it's good. He's not in the boot. He's, I see him moving on the court a little more, shooting and doing that. So I'm hoping, and this is an important week for us. Obviously, we get 4 practices before we play on Saturday. So it's, he's got to be getting closer again. And I hope as he starts doing more, you'll evaluate how he responds. And so, he'll bring certainly some on-ball toughness and quickness and all that stuff. So we're hopeful, but I do not have a timetable. It's kind of just as he feels, as he progresses, and we'll keep pushing him with the right kind of oversight.
And then once you get him back, does that give you more flexibility with Reese and maybe even just giving him more minutes off?
Yeah, it could be that. I've played them together.
Sure.
Certainly, yep, he can, depending upon where he's at, certainly, Reese can come off the court. Again, at times we've used by committee, it's either been Eli to give Reese a quick blow, or sometimes, Rhodey or Isaac McNeely, but obviously Dante, has played more of that, and as long as he's healthy, that certainly can do that, and they can play together too, and that helps us defensively on ball.
We'll go back to Mike Barber.
Hey, Tony, a little bit random, but you've obviously coached guys in your career as an assistant and a head coach who've gone on to become coaches. What are the characteristics that you take note of when you think to yourself, hey, that guy could have a future coaching?
Yeah, I think, first they got to be real competitive. I don't think there better be that, but you sense the way they think the game, how they are. And again, some guys that aren't coaching could be terrific coaches. You got to want to do it, but there is just a natural basketball IQ in the way they can communicate it to their teammates or to me or our coaching staff that they see. And then you see it obviously in their play, but their suggestions. I think again, I think those are some of the things that follow that. Obviously we have Chase Coleman with us now and Isaiah. But I saw that, London Prentice, Ty, and again, I'm thinking more point guard in that regard, but I think there's a number of guys that would be terrific. And then there's a temperament that you probably helps you out. But there's different ways to do it. But I think it's the competitiveness with that. Just there's an innate feel that guys understand. And when you watch him play, you kind of can say, I think he'd be a good coach. And then you see the communication aspect too.
You just hit on my second point there. So many of those guys we think of as point guards, but obviously Isaiah was a post, and there are guys who've done it from other positions. Is point guard just the most naturally suited for that, or can it come from all over?
I think it can come from all over. In a way, Isaiah was like the director of our defense. I mean, the way he thought, the way he talked, and in his willingness to do whatever it took offensively. But there is a natural, kind of the quarterback and all that stuff. But no, I just think any position can have it. I really do. But you do have to, there has to be that thought process. I think that would really help.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
We'll get one final quick one in from David Teal.
Tony, early in the week, duly noted, but have you looked much at Wake? And if so, what are your impressions of them, especially offensively?
Yeah, I have not,
Okay.
and I will, of course. But what I do know is they're, Steve's done a great job adding some nice pieces, from the transfer portal, and they're playing good ball. They're good. I think our league is good. It's I said it's an older veteran league, and I think it's strong this year with the either the returners and then the guys that have been added to the rosters of some of the teams that are playing good basketball. And I think even the numbers are backing that up. And you can see that in non-conference play. But Wake specifically, some of the key guys, I think getting the Efton Reed, the bigger guy, that gives them kind of that. And they haven't even played for a while with one of their really good perimeter guys who was tough against us. I don't know what his status is. I think they play on Tuesday, but yeah, they're balanced. They got a little bit of, inside, but outside. Those experienced guys are good, and nice depth. They're playing good ball. Like, you just look at the games they've played, who they've competed against, how they've beat some teams handily that are solid. So that tells you a lot, and their record is speaking for itself too.
Tony, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. See you, Andy.
All right. We will move on to Mike Young from Tech. He is up next. If you have a question for Mike, go ahead, use the raise hand tool. And it's right there. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Hope everybody's well.
We'll get started with Mark Berman.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mark.
Whether it's the rebounding aspect or the turnovers aspect, any certain things you're kind of stressing in practice this week as you get ready for Wednesday?
No, that we've done such a good job through the years of taking care of the ball. And our 5 losses, we're averaging 16, and our assists are down on those same nights. Rebounding was was an issue on Saturday at Florida State. Now they've got some guys that can really go get it. We've rebounded very, very well in stretches thus far, but I think you hit it. Those are the 2 areas that we are most concerned about and talking about most often around here right now.
Did you complain to the conference office, or are you planning to, about the clock operator at the end of the game Saturday, or about the officials not reviewing the matter?
I have, the official had his hand raised until his hand dropped. That clock is not supposed to start. Now, it was going to be a heave. Hunter handled it exactly right. We've talked about that play specifically. They're trying to miss it, and it comes bouncing out of there, and Hunter's going to let it bounce. The clock started too early. I asked them to review it, and he said he saw it the whole time. Obviously, he did not. So yes, I have had that conversation.
Did you get any satisfaction, or just wanted to speak your piece there?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Did you get any positive feedback, any satisfaction from your complaint there, I guess, or did they see it your way? Or
there's not a lot of satisfaction to be had. They missed it. Now, again, that is not what cost us a game. That was going to be a heave with 1.2 seconds, I think it was. So we're not going to jump up and down about it. A mistake was made, was not reviewed, was not corrected. So let's move along.
did you also complain about the foul was called on Hunter right before that, or was that part of your complaint as well?
I have not talked to Brian. Mark, I've been doing it a long time. I It's very, very, very rare for me to I know some coaches will call with 5 calls. Was it a foul in that situation? That Hunter did have his left hand on his back. He was clean up top. So no, I did not dwell on that call. I thought, let the young people play the game and decide the game. But just not something that I typically do.
Thank you.
Mike Barber.
Morning, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
You guys have gotten off to slow starts in league play the past 2 seasons. One of the times you turned it around very notably. Is there anything you take from those experiences to try to avoid, because you're only 3 games in here, or is it just as simply as play good basketball and you'll win?
I hope it's that easy. We have played good basketball with this team. We did not play particularly well at Wake Forest. Wake Forest had something to do with that. Florida State is such a different animal. I mean, you've seen them, a lot. So have I. We're defensively very unique and long and active and aggressive. Bottom line is this: to get this thing squared away, we got to play better basketball, handle the ball better, defend at a better level, and certainly rebound.
I know that Sean Padula's dealt with the injury stuff, and hopefully when he's healthy, will be more consistent for you. How has he handled the frustration of you guys needing a lot from him and him not being 100% to try to give it to you?
I thought it was closer to 100% on Saturday. I thought he moved poorly against Wake Forest, and we did everything we could to care for him and manage that injury. And certainly he looked a little rusty in Winston-Salem. Thought he played a lot better on Saturday. Yes, you're exactly right. We need him to be good. We need him to help the others, and when he's right, he does that very thing. So, I thought Saturday was encouraging, and we had yesterday off, so we got 2 good days of practice leading into Clemson, and I think he is very, very close to approaching 100%.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
David Cunningham, you are up next.
Hi, Mike. In terms of ball movement, only 9 assists against Florida State. I know that's kind of also just the way FSU plays. What have you thought about the way you guys have moved the ball lately? I know you said you need to take care of it better. In terms of getting Lynn more involved down low, have you liked what you guys have been able to do, and what do you need to do? Do you feel like to maybe to get better opportunities and move the ball a little bit better?
Florida State is a hard one to go on. Now, 9 assists is simply not good enough. Florida State makes it really, really hard. They're not going to play one-on-one in the post. Now, we'd have been fine had they done that, but they're coming after you. They're probably not leaving Couture, as we saw on Saturday. They're probably not leaving Padula because of what happened down there 2 years ago. Padula was really good in here against the Seminoles a year ago. So was Hunter. We were catching the ball in difficult areas, and we didn't hit multiple sides as we really need to do. And when we've been good, we've done that. Continue to work on it and be better with it on Wednesday against Clemson.
What has stood out to you about the Tigers and the matchup you'll face on Wednesday?
They're good. Gerard has helped them coming over from Syracuse. PJ Hall in his 4th year now, and Shefflin is playing really, really well for them. really well. Chase Hunter been around a long time, good player. Godfrey and Wiggins have gotten bigger and stronger and playing good basketball for them. So they're sound. Brad's teams always are, and it'll be a heck of a ball game in here on Wednesday.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, David.
You get one more quick one in from John Blau. Go ahead, John.
Just wanted to follow up on that again with Clemson. They've lost a couple of games to Miami, UNC. I mean, do you expect this to be a team with plenty of urgency? I mean, having lost a couple games already in conference play.
Yeah. I'll tell you what now, John, take a team down to Coral Gables and play, and North Carolina's playing really, really well. Watched that game yesterday. They are very, very good. And Clemson was right there in both games. The Miami game got away from them a little bit. That can happen. I thought Clemson played well. Watched them against Pittsburgh. They were very good. Watched them against TCU this morning. Brad's got a good outfit. He's, as he always does, doing a really nice job with them.
Mike, thank you as always. We appreciate the time. See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Next up is Damon Stoudemire from Georgia Tech. I believe he is on here. There he is. Good morning.
What's going on, fellas?
Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
First question will come from Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Coach. Thanks for hopping on.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious, for you, was it high school, college, NBA? When did people start saying, hey, man, you'd be a good coach one day?
First of all, I never wanted to coach. I never thought about it. And quite frankly, coaches always said it, but I just didn't think I would be a coach. And probably when I realized in the first couple months of, not playing, I was like, I got to figure something out to do, because at that time I didn't golf. I didn't do any, I didn't really have any hobbies, man. I was 35. I had been doing basketball my whole life. So that kind of brought me to working kids out, doing things like that, and that led to coaching for sure.
And you obviously may have a bias here, but do point guards make the best coaches, or can it come from anywhere on the floor?
I believe they have advantages, but I do think it can come from anywhere on the floor. I think, coaching is what I figured out from the ones that I played for that I thought the best. I thought that they were, my coaches, the ones that I love, were egoless, and it was a two-way street with everything, trying to figure it out.
Thank you.
Next up is David Teal. Go ahead, David.
Damon, as you have gotten started there on the job at Georgia Tech, what are the major differences you find as for a college head coach compared to your time at Pacific?
I think, that's a good question, but what I would say is the crazy thing about it is, like, being at Pacific, I think it taught me not to take for granted playing anybody. And so being here, at Tech, I think, like, the first couple games, you're playing by games, different things. And I felt like these guys were taking teams for granted. And I'm like, man, these dudes really don't care about who you guys are. They don't really care. They're envious. They want to, they would love to be where you're at. So don't take this for granted. That's one of the things. And I would say I could already, feel it in just kind of 2 league games so far. Well, 3, Duke, obviously, but that was so long ago. you know, the league is like one of those leagues where, you know, I always said this when I was at Pacific, and it was different. You know, you had good coaches. You had, you know, Mark Few, Brandy Bennett, Mark Pope, you know, guys at nature. Kyle Smith was there at one point, Todd Golden. You know, it's like trying to learn coaches. I don't really learn players because college players and teams turn over a lot, but the coaching styles don't change. So for me, going through this the first time, I am trying to figure out coaching styles. You know what I mean? Because I haven't coached against a lot of these guys before. This is the first time. So for me, as I go through the league, I'm trying to figure out coaching styles, what they like to do, what they hang their hat on, what's the meat and potatoes of, you know, on both ends of the court.
As you have attempted to do that, has any particular coach surprised you with how they do things or what they like to do? What have been your primary takeaways there?
Well, you know, I have, you know, I you know, with the coaches, I would say I use, you know, Leonard, you know, just since we played him last week, you know, what you see on TV is kind of what you get. You know, I mean, I think they want to up tempo you, they want to take you out of your offense. They're going to press a bit. You know, they're going to switch ball screens. You know, so I mean, what you see is what you get there. You know, and so I think you know, everybody else, I'm truly trying to learn. You know, and it'll be a process, you know, all year long. But you know, just like with anything, you try to figure it out and to the best of your ability.
Kip Coons, go ahead, sir.
Hi, Damon. You just mentioned how the Duke game was so long ago, and yet you know, that victory, did it almost create excessive expectations on your part, because now your fans say, hey, we beat Duke, we can be a really good team, and you have to kind of temper that with where your team is right now?
You're always trying to temper the expectation, Kip. I would say I never got lost in, you know, what the win did. I mean, I understood that it was a great win at the time, but I didn't get lost in, you know, anything else, and knowing that there's still a process and we got to stay process driven. And I think that the biggest thing is trying to get the kids to understand that you know, I always say this, right? I'm a little bit different. Every coach has a different philosophy, but I'm not the one to always try. I would never try to talk for my kids or put an expectation on them when I'm just getting to know them. I don't even know if they're built like that to carry that expectation, kind of to your question, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to figure out, you know, the type of team you have, and you got to play to that. And with our team, I think what we've proven so far is that we're consistently inconsistent. So, and we're just trying to figure it all out. But the beauty of it is that I think when we do figure it out, I think if we can just be playing the right way at the right time, I think we're a dangerous team. I do believe that.
Any other questions for Damon? Okay. Damon, thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right, guys. Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being on today. Appreciate the time. We'll have a recording here in about probably half hour, 45 minutes. There's a link in your email. So if you have any problems finding that, just let me know. But thanks again. We'll see y'all next week.